Welcome back. Good morning, San Diego. The time now is 7:40. Some economists are saying that President Joe Biden's capital gains tax proposal could crush the economy. Joining me to talk more about that tax and how it could impact you is realtor Jim Buttrell. Mr. Buttrell, another happy topic for us to discuss.
We seem to have a lot of those, don't we?
All right, so kind of broad stroke it, then I'll fire up questions, okay?
Okay.
So what is, right now we pay 20% on capital gains tax?
Yeah, well, I mean, first I have to say I'm not an accountant. Consult your accountant.
Okay.
I have to say I'm required to. All right, but I do know how everything works. So yeah, right now there's capital gains tax. Let's just define it real quick. Capital gains tax is anytime you sell something for more than what you bought it for. It's passive income type thing. You pay capital gains tax. Whether it's short-term capital gains tax or long-term capital gains tax, it depends on how long you've owned that item for. So the state has always does not do capital gains tax. It's just taxes regular income at 12.3% being the top bracket. The proposal is for the top bracket is that right now federal is going to charge you 20%, so add the 12.3 from the state on top of the 20. But they're going to make that 20% a whopping 44.6% and then add the state. So now we're talking about 56.9%. So this is your nest egg or whatever it is that this investment that you've created in your life, now at the higher tax brackets being taxed at 56.9%. So honestly, I find this as a tragedy because now the government's saying that they're going to take more of it, of your investment than you get.
Okay, but I was listening to the talking heads on the Sunday Gab shows, and they're saying, but this is only going to affect the people that make $1 million more a year. So I don't have to worry about that. I'm not making $1 million a year. You say?
Well, that's the way they always do it, right? They're pitting the rich against the poor, or,
right?
Saying, I mean, when was the last time? Let's just get off topic real quick. When was the last time you saw a wealthy person cast in a positive light? On a TV show or radio or a movie. I mean, maybe Tony Stark, Iron Man, but then again, maybe not. Okay, so it's always been this class warfare thing. So it's always tax the rich. AOC had her dress on. All right, so yeah, they're doing it. But the thing is, let's say you sell that investment. Let's say you own a home for 15, 20 years and it's gone up $1 million, all right? But you only make $50,000 a year. Well, guess what? They're going to take that $1 million and say that's your gain that year. So suddenly you're in that top bracket. They're going to include the income from that.
Well, I mean, so what you have here is there's a lot of folks out there who now owning a home dream that's sailed off. I mean, they don't see any way that they're ever going to own a home. So they really don't care about this because they're thinking, oh, it kind of widens the gap between the haves and the have-nots because the have-nots, they don't care. I mean, they don't care if I have to pay a big tax.
Well, that's why I'm here, Paul, because we're going to talk about real estate and how real estate's the best investment in the world. Because if you own a property that is your primary residence in 2 of the last 5 years, so you just own a primary residence, the first $250,000 you make on it is completely tax-free. If you're married, that's $500,000 tax-free. So think about that. If you buy a house, it goes up $500,000, you sell it and you buy a new one the next day, you paid no taxes. You can't do that in the stock market. You have a stock that goes up $500,000, you sell it and you go buy a new one the next day. No, you're getting taxed on $500,000. And then that's for your primary residence. Let's say it was an investment property. Let's say you own investment properties. Now you don't really have that $500,000 exclusion anymore, but you can do what's called a 1031 exchange. So let's say your property goes up $1 million. You own it for 24 years and it goes up $1 million in value. You can say, I don't want to own this house anymore. I'd like to sell it. There's $1 million of gain. That's when you do a 1031 exchange. You take that $1 million and you invest it in a new property. Or the smarter people are going to take that $1 million and invest it in 4 properties. Go $250,000 down payment on each one. And what you're doing is you're just pushing that tax out and out. And anybody in real estate who ends up paying taxes, capital gains tax, didn't talk to the right person. Because if you are talking to the right people, there's so many ways to not pay any tax.
So there are ways around. Because
Absolutely.
I look at everything through the prism of the pending November election. I can't imagine anybody on the left who's pushing this proposal hasn't tested it, blind tests with people.
Well, yeah.
They feel like they have the support of the people on this.
Well, I'm sure they do, because most people are looking at the evil rich people tax the rich people, but they're forgetting the rich people are the ones that create the businesses, the ones that are creating the jobs, the ones that are paying the majority of the taxes. So I'm with you on that, 100%. I'm with you on that. But then there's people that have call it an employee mindset. That's it. No, we'll tax them, tax them, tax them. I mean, I had a person not that long ago, a server, give me a hard time because he didn't think I was paying my fair share in taxes. How I got in that conversation, I have no idea. But then look at what Pelosi did with Elon Musk. Told him a couple of years ago, said publicly he is not paying his fair share. And I loved his response where he says, I am going to pay more taxes this year than any human in the history of civilization has ever paid. And apparently that's not enough.
Oh yeah, and I'd love someone to tell me what is enough. But
Yeah.
I guess the catch is, what are the, as we wrap this up, what are the likelihood of this becoming the law, the land?
I don't know. I mean, you can flip a coin on that one. I just say that it doesn't really matter if you have your investments in real estate. It doesn't matter. You have your $500,000, first $500,000, and you can do that, by the way. People think you can only do that one time in your life. You can do it over and over and over. Every 2 years, you could sell another property for a $500,000 gain and pay no taxes on it. That is the beauty of real estate. You have long-term capital gains coverage on that to where it excludes you from it, and then also you get all the taxable benefits because your interest and your taxes, your property taxes, are tax deductible. You take that mortgage statement into your HR department, and your take-home paycheck will go up. They'll modify your deductions because you pay less taxes when you own a home, just from owning it, much less the long-term capital gains benefits.
All right, you're going to be testing on this material later, so give this guy a call. Jim, thanks for rolling in.
Thanks for having me.
We'll be right back with more Good Morning San Diego.